Well, hello, my name is Dr. Kristen Guillory, and thank you so much for signing up for this free online training for aspiring and established speakers. My heart is really just to support you and add value to what you are doing, because I believe in the power of stories. I really do. I think stories are amazing. I think those who take these big steps in faith to become speakers, or maybe you don't consider yourself a speaker, but you know you have a story to share, whether it's to one person or to an audience of 10,000. I am from Dallas, Texas. I graduated from Texas Christian University and the University of Texas at Arlington. I am an aunt, and that is my favorite title after being a believer. I have been a professor at 4 different universities. I have spoken at over 500 engagements to Fortune 500 companies, universities, school districts, national conferences, state conferences. And what I learned is that I find it really important just to be genuine and authentic, and remember that those who are listening are on your side. So I have a question for you before I share all of the things that I'm going to share in this training. Why are you interested in becoming a speaker? Or why are you interested in expanding your life as a speaker? If your number one reason is for money, this training might not be for you. Now, there is money to be made. I have made some money. However, if we find ourselves chasing money, then we're in it for the wrong reasons, right? I have some degrees in social work, and I often tell my students that if you are in this field to make money, you're in the wrong field, but there is money to be made. But if one of your top reasons is, I believe I have a story, I believe my story will help someone, I believe the knowledge I have will encourage and inspire and challenge people, then this is the training for you. Now, money can be a top 3. Trust me, we're going to get into why you should maybe increase your fee and all those types of things. So grab something to write with and on, because I'm going to give you a lot of information that I do hope you can use. So I've been a speaker for about 12 years, or so I thought. I got my first official speaking invitation about 12 years ago when I was a PhD student. I was tutoring a high school teacher, and when she learned that I was working on my PhD, she got really excited and wanted me to meet her students. She said, I want them to meet a young Black woman working on this degree. And I agreed. The next day, another teacher came in, met me, and said, ooh, who is this? And the teacher said, oh, she's going to be coming back in a couple of weeks to speak to all of my classes. This teacher then said, well, can you come to mine? So in a matter of 2 days, I got an invitation to speak to a total of 300 students. I took this opportunity so seriously. I began praying about it and writing down notes. And in my opinion, I put together one of my most popular presentations, but more than that, it was a really good one. I presented on overcoming hurdles. So I shared stories of people who I knew who had overcome really big things and were doing great work. And I thought that would inspire the students. Well, here's the problem with that. These teachers wanted me to share about me. I did not think that my story was valuable, because it wasn't one of those stories that is gut-wrenching and heart-wrenching and all of those things. I didn't think my story was valuable. So then I got an invitation to speak at my alma mater, TCU, and they wanted me just to talk about me. That went okay. Then I got an invitation to speak at another university, and this time I did something a little different. I decided to share my story. To share my story that I call PG6, where I talked about being in AP classes and dealing with haters and peer pressure and self-esteem issues and abstinence and being unsure about things. In a matter of 48 hours, I received emails from women who were in that audience thanking me for sharing. And although our stories were not really the same, what I realized was it's so important to be authentic and genuine and transparent. And since then, I have spoken all across the country, audiences of 5 to 3,000, audiences of all men and all women and students, and just very diverse. And at the end of the day, just being authentic is really important. I also have spoken on over 30 different topics ranging from cultural humility, diversity, compassion, fatigue, purpose, communication, abstinence, purity, single is a blessing, not a curse. And I've been honored to share in so many ways. So with that, we're going to go on and get started with some tips. The first tips I want to give you are what I believe the 5 most important things for a speaker to do. And the number one thing is be you. Nobody can do it better than you. Be you. Don't try to be anyone else. There's nothing wrong with watching other people and learning from them, because I do that as well, but be you. Be you. If you're not someone who cracks jokes all the time, you don't have to implement jokes. But if you do crack jokes, it's okay to implement them at the appropriate times. If you're someone who enjoys music, find a way to incorporate that. I love music. Every time I have the privilege of getting in front of an audience, music is played 100% of the time. And about 90% of the time we are dancing. Okay, we might do a little merengue, we might do the electric slide, we might just have some fun, but that's me. So be you. Number 2 is be authentic. Just be authentic. You don't have to make up a story. You don't have to add details to the story. Just be authentic. Be genuine. I don't know about you, but I believe that there was a time where I was trying to make certain stories, more gut-wrenching than they should have been. I also have noticed different speakers adding details, trying to add a little bit of flavor where the flavor is you. Just be authentic and share. You don't have to add anything to it. The next is think about your audience. While you might have the same story that you share multiple times, the audiences are different. So it's important to incorporate a little piece about the audience. So if you are speaking to high school students in Dallas, Texas, and you know the name of the high school, thank them in the beginning. So shout out to this school. Thank you all so much for having me. I saw in the halls that you all have this going on. If you're at a university, talk about a little bit of the audience. Also, the person who invites you to speak, ask them about the need. I have gotten a lot of invitations where people will ask me to come in and share, and I'll ask them, what do you want me to share? And they'll say, just share whatever's on your heart, which is awesome and an honor, but I will follow up and say, well, tell me what the needs are. And hopefully I can kind of meet you there. So find out about your audience and learn about the needs. The next is request feedback. So it's great to hear that it was wonderful and amazing, but there's nothing wrong with having some evaluations or surveys that you send out maybe 2 days after your engagement. Maybe you don't send it out to the entire audience, but you send it out to the people who booked you, or you do send it out to everyone, but you do want feedback. And if you have a team or someone who travels with you, ask them to give you honest feedback. So really tell me, what you think went really well. And then ask them, what do you think are some opportunities for growth or things that I should possibly change? I know that I have requested that, and some feedback I did implement and some I didn't. I have the right to say, no, I'm going to keep my music in what I do, because I had someone who recommended that I take my music out. No, that's who I am. That's me being me and authentic, right? But feedback is really important, because you might be thinking that you're connecting and someone might say, yeah, we did not hear anything that you said because you were messing with your clothes so much. And the final thing is to use your natural gifts. Use those gifts that people often say, wow, you're really good at this, or wow, that's a powerful part of your story, or wow, you're really funny, or wow, you're so creative. Use your natural gifts. And a bonus tip is record yourself speaking. There's nothing like watching yourself to inform you of what you are doing well or not so well, or just to see. I remember speaking at a university and I watched a video of me, and I had no idea that, one, I was moving, I was kind of swaying as much as I was, and then I had no idea that when I would ask a question that I was not giving people time to answer. So I think the question was, what percentage of our communication is nonverbal? In my mind, I gave them like 5-6 seconds. In reality, I gave them 1. So it's really beneficial to watch yourself speak, right? Now I want to offer you my 5 top mistakes that I've made as a speaker. I never sought out to be a speaker. I got that invitation, and then I continued to get invitations, and I learned along the way and made a lot of mistakes along the way. And here's what's interesting. I never really asked for help until just a couple of years ago when I was a little bit more established. I was trying to just wing it, and we don't need to wing it, right? So 5 mistakes that I made. The first one is I said yes to every speaking engagement and every topic request in the beginning. Although yeses might be good, I want to make sure that our yeses are purposeful. Some people say, no, you say yes to everything and you can make it purposeful. I'm not telling you not to say yes. I'm telling you a mistake I made was saying yes to every engagement, and more than that, every speaking topic request. So as I mentioned, I've spoken on 30 to 40 different topics, and I look back and realize I am good at speaking and leading a group and leading a training, but the topics might not have aligned with my brand. For a while, I know people were a little confused about my audience. Many people thought that it was mainly girls, and for a season it was, and then I tried to transition. So just be mindful of your yeses. And if you do say yes, make sure that they are in alignment with your brand. And with that, that goes back to my original question. Why are you interested in speaking? What would you say is your speaking brand? As I shared, I believe in the power of stories. Also, I believe that it's okay not to be okay. And I strive to be a catalyst for healing, hope, and purpose. And speaking is one of those ways I strive to help people heal from emotional hurt and trauma. Right? So what is your brand? Number 2, I tried to wing it a couple of times. I would get an invitation and maybe work on the talk for 5 minutes or so, and I tried to wing it. And although for the most part it went well, it's still not good. You want to make sure that you put some kind of thought behind it. And there's a difference between, here's a talk that I know I have coming up and I need to put some thought behind it, and I'm going to be on a panel, or I am going to be in a talk with a group of people. You might not be able to prepare, but it still isn't a bad idea to have in your mind, what parts of my story am I comfortable sharing? What parts of my story am I not quite comfortable sharing yet, but I'll get there? Just to have that in your mind so we don't ramble on. So keep that in mind. Don't wing it. Take some time to rehearse, to write it down, to ask someone to listen to you, to put the body together. So your intro and your body and your outro. What's your point of your talk? Why are you sharing? Right? So don't wing it. The third thing, or the third mistake that I made, is I did not see value in my story. As I shared with you earlier, I highlighted other people. I dismissed my story, but there is value in your story right now. Right now, not tomorrow, not next year. There's value in your story right now. There's someone who needs to hear your story right now. Right now. The fourth thing is, so a lot of opportunities in the beginning might be for free. So you might be offering your talks pro bono, and I'm going to offer you a couple of ways to be compensated for these pro bono gigs. And I'm going to give you these 4 ways now, and I'll get to my number 1 mistake that I made. So here it is, because sometimes doing something pro bono, you can get value in other ways in addition to finances, right? So the first thing that you could do is you could ask for additional tickets. So if this is a feed event and you're offering your services for free, you could request a few more tickets for guests to join you. Another option is, you can request a gas card or a meal card, right? So if you're driving 30 miles, which would be 60 miles round trip, that comes out to be about a $35 gas card if you're going with the national rate for mileage reimbursement. And it's okay to ask that, right? Because you're driving your car and you probably are going to be hungry. So ask for a gas card or gift card. Another thing that you could do is ask to be put on in the booklet or on the website as a sponsor. If they mention that they don't have sponsors, you can also ask to be promoted on their website or on the social media sites, which is really, really important to do. Another way you could be compensated for a pro bono gig is to request that someone on the event team record and take pictures of you. You need footage. You need footage of you just to have. You need footage. Okay, so you could request that. And a fifth one, I wasn't going to share 5, but I'll share 5. A fifth one is if you have a product or if you have a service, ask if you can have a vendor table. So if this is an event that has vendors, ask for a vendor table for free. And most definitely after the event, you want to request a testimony so you can start building your catalog of feedback. So if someone's never seen you, they can read feedback about you that someone else has said. And those are some things I did not do in the beginning. I said yes to everything. I drove far. I didn't ask for anything. And actually just yesterday, I was going back and forth in negotiations for an opportunity I have coming up. And although they cannot pay my entire fee, they were willing to negotiate. So they're able to pay me a good part of my fee. And what we negotiated was the vendor table, allowing me to sell my books, as well as promoting me on the website, as well as trying to find somebody to record me in the session. Okay. So I've given you 4 things that were my top mistakes that I made. I just gave you 5 ways to be paid for pro bono gigs, and I'm now going to share with you my #1 mistake that I've made as a speaker. My #1 mistake I've made as a speaker is not praying before all engagements. Those engagements, when they're over and I leave and I feel weird and I'm dissecting it and I feel uncomfortable, the majority of the time is because I didn't pray, or because I went into the gig a little too cocky. And so I definitely encourage you to pray. Now I would like to share with you what not to do at the end of an engagement. Please, when you end your engagement, don't leave and start dissecting everything you think you did wrong. Because when you're doing that, you're dismissing the thank yous. You're dismissing the people who've come up to you to say they appreciate what you shared. Sit in that for a moment. And then you can work on, okay, I could have done this better, And when you're doing that, write it down. Don't just go over it over and over in your head, because it's just going to swirl around. Write it down so it can at least be somewhere, right? Yes, so write it down, but don't dismiss the thank yous. I dismissed the thank yous far too long. I was doing a little bit of work last year, and I was going through some feedback that I had gotten. And as I was reading all of it, it was so amazing and so powerful. And I realized that I hadn't really truly sat in that feedback and appreciated it, and thank the Lord for giving me these gifts to be able to do what it is that I do. I would focus on, oh, I wish I would have shared this, or I wish I hadn't have done that, as opposed to remembering all of the people who got in line to come and talk to me, which is really, really important. So how do you know if you can offer a professional development training? Is it only for those in higher education? Is it only for those in certain fields? Well, the answer is no. Here's what I'll share with you on how you know if you can offer professional development training. Do you have some expertise or a little bit of expertise in any area? Is there a need for your expertise, and do you have outcomes for it? For example, there are always needs in various fields, from our corporate America, mental health, counseling, education, and some of the topics as a professional development trainer I have shared on include ethics, sexual harassment, diversity, high engagement strategies for educators, compassion fatigue, self-care, and much more. So do you have something that you could possibly offer? If the answer is yes, I would encourage you to do a little bit of research and look out there for different descriptions of workshops and come up with your own, and then start to pitch it, right? Find some conferences that are around, and maybe it'll be beneficial to lead a session. So with that, I have shared 5 tips for being a speaker. I've shared 5 mistakes I've made as a speaker. I've given you 5 tips on how to get paid for pro bono. I've shared with you how you might be able to lead a professional development training, and it's okay to charge a fee. And it's okay to increase your fee. If you think about the amount of time that goes into putting a talk together and put an hourly rate on that, what would it be? What if you work 10 hours to put your talk together, and let's say your hourly rate is $50 at a minimum? That's $500. Now that doesn't include you being there, you actually leading the talk, you driving there. So it's okay to charge a fee. Now you might be afraid. I've had a lot of clients say, I'm afraid of charging a fee because they might say no. Well, here's the thing. They have the right to come back and negotiate. And so what I actually have done is I let people know what my fee is from the very beginning. I will have one of my team members share with them, Dr. Guillory's fee is this, and if they come back and say, oh, we can't afford that, then we go back and say, we're willing to be flexible, we're willing to possibly be flexible, right? The reason that it's okay to charge a fee is if you are getting paid, you're going to have to pay taxes against it unless they're offering you an honorarium. So know that your time is valuable. You are adding value to whatever event you're attending. Now, as I said, money is not number one for me, but I do make an income from speaking and training, and that's very important because I know I'm adding quite a bit of value. So you're not sure what you should charge. I encourage you just to do a little bit of research and find out. And maybe you'll say, you know what, I'll say I accept honorariums and you can give me the amount that you would like. And there's a lot of different ways, but don't be afraid to charge because remember, you are adding value. You're adding value. No one has your experiences. No one has your story. You're adding value and you were invited to share or they accepted your request to share. I do hope that these tips, or at least some of them, are helpful for you on your journey to becoming a speaker or expanding your speaking life. That didn't make sense, but that's okay. Okay? Now, a special treat that you have for signing up for this free online training. I'm so excited to share with you that on April 28th, I am hosting Finding Your Voice, the Art and Heart of Speaking, an intensive boot camp for established and aspiring speakers. It'll be at Texas Christian University, Saturday, April 28th. It's going to be about a 7-hour event, 6 or 7 hour event where I'm going to go through multiple segments. The first being the heart of speaking. Actually working through your story, putting your story together, identifying different pieces of your story to share and why. And guess what? We have multiple stories. And so we'll talk about that. We'll walk through your particular topic. You might say, I'm not necessarily wanting to share my entire story, but I am very passionate about this topic and I want to share this. I will help you flesh that out and work through that. So the heart of speaking is the first one. The second part is the art of speaking. So we'll work on body language and tone, and should you use visuals and should you use music and all of those different things. The third part is the business of speaking. So we'll go into a lot more detail about pro bono gigs and what fees to charge. And I'm going to give all of my forms, my contracts, my press kits. We're going to just work through all of that. Should you have a website? What should your social media pages look like? How are we putting our brand together, right? And then at the end of the training, I am inviting about 10 to 15 different individuals who are nationally known speakers, internationally known speakers, professionals, students to come and coach you all or coach the participants. Every participant is going to have the opportunity to give a 5-minute talk and receive on-the-site coaching from these amazing individuals. In addition to that, you're going to get one-on-one coaching from me. Okay, so the bonus that you get is it goes on sale tomorrow after 3 p.m. You have about 17 hours to take advantage of this now, and I don't have a lot of spots. So this is valued at about $950 with everything that you're going to receive. Well, did I say you're going to get some food? It's going to be a lot of stuff you get at this event. It's valued at about $950, and the fee is only $119. Early bird is $99, and the special rate for you if you take advantage by 3 p.m. Central tomorrow, Friday, is $89. That's it. I truly want to add value to what you're doing. I truly want to support you. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I hope that this has been beneficial for you. If you are interested, I would love to see you at that training in April. And don't forget that your story is important, that you are enough right now, and it's okay to be you. Okay, get it?